Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to the second instalment of Cloud Direct Security webinar series. For those that have joined for the first time, this security series aims to provide you with insights and guidance through our experience as an Azure expert MSP, and it's ultimately designed to help you approach and innovate in Azure with confidence. Today's webinar, as voted by you, focuses on security, governance and policies, and it's delivered today by our lead cloud consultant, Jeff Field. As a bit of housekeeping, you can log questions in the Q&A tab, and any questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. We will have a Q&A session. So without further ado, I'll pass you on to Jeff. And as I said, any questions, please feel free to add those and we'll tackle them at the end.
Thanks very much, Liam. Hi, my name's Jeff Field, lead cloud consultant with Cloud Direct. So this morning we're going to have a look at some of the security governance and policy features in Microsoft Azure. Before we do that, I'm not a massive fan of stats for statistics' sakes, but I had to do a presentation at the end of last year, and Gartner came up with some figures around gross spend. So they estimated that in 2019, about $227 billion would be spent on public cloud, and that would increase in 2022 up to $354 billion. So that was then, and this is now. Obviously, there's been a fair change in the world in the last few months, and that's had a massive impact on the way people work. So Microsoft have given some statistics around this. They saw the daily Teams usage go up from 32 million users per day up to 75 million users. I think actually that's up until about May, so it may have increased since then. They also saw Windows Virtual Desktop usage grow 3 times during the similar period. And there's estimates that the overall increase in cloud spending will go up by 20% this year. Satya Nadella quoted to the media that Microsoft has seen 2 years of digital transformation in 2 months as COVID struck, and that's something, you know, certainly we've seen as a company, people bringing in cloud-based projects forward, and remote working is obviously a massive priority for people at the moment, and the technologies that enable that. But with all this increased adoption of cloud, obviously security, policy and governance is a major part of that. So if we have a quick look at this slide here, it shows the responsibility at each sort of level of your infrastructure and application. So on the right hand side, you've got an on-premise category. So obviously if you're running your application or workload on-premise, you need to take care of all aspects of that environment, from the physical data center all the way up through, you know, managing, patching OSs, applications, and up to the end user devices and identity. Now that responsibility shifts over to the cloud provider, so obviously Microsoft in the case of Azure, as you work from right to left and go up the application stack. So you can see when you move up to infrastructure as a service, obviously you no longer need to manage physical data centers and hardware, and that responsibility transfers over to the public cloud provider as you move across to platform as a service, and then ultimately to software as a service, where you still have to manage the identity and the devices that your users use, but everything else is managed by the cloud provider.